Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Engelbrecht. I'm back for video 2 for our cursive handwriting. And I want to remind you to slant your paper slightly to the left if you are right-handed. If you are left-handed, slant your paper to the right. Today's letters that we're going to do are C, A, D, G, and Q. So here we go, let's get started. The C, we are going to start on the bottom, and we are going to bring it up as an undercurve to the middle like we did with the Y, but this time we're going to curve around just a little bit like this for our C. Follow the line back around and back up. It's very important that you do this line all the way up because that's actually going to go into our next letter when we write a word. This part of the C is going to be the beginning of our next letter. So once again, we start our C at the bottom, come to the middle line, curve around into our C, follow that line back around and up. You want to be careful not to get too sloppy and have all this space up in here, okay? So make sure you're carefully following the line back around and up for your C. Great, now our A is very similar to the C, except we're just going to close it in. So we start at the bottom for our A, lowercase a, come to the middle like we're doing a C, come back around, but when we come here, we connect it, and then we come back up. Some people will do their A incorrectly, and I'll show you in a minute because it will actually look like a different letter. But we start at the bottom, our A comes to the middle and around, almost looking like a C. Then we come around and we connect it here and back around. Okay, some people will do this, and if you compare the two, they don't look right. They just bring it around, and later on you're going to see that that kind of looks like an S when we do our S's. So there is your A. Okay. Now our D is going to be like our A, except the D is going to have a stem at the top. So we start our D at the bottom, curve to the middle line, back into our A, but we go all the way up and back down before we finish our letter. Once again, this part is very important. If you write your D like this and stop, you won't have this piece that's going to begin our next letter in our words, okay? So make sure you have that last undercurve coming up. Start at the bottom, curve around like our C, bring it and join it like our A, and keep going to the top, follow that line down and back up. You also want to be careful not to be sloppy with the D, because if it's too fast, you'll have gaps. So take your time learning how to make it as neat as possible for your D. There we go. Now our G is also going to be similar to our C and A in how it starts. We start at the bottom, we curve up and around almost like we're doing an A or a D, but instead of going up this time, we're coming straight down. And then we're going to loop to the left and back up. So this loop at the bottom goes to the left. We start at the bottom here, come to the middle, back around, and when we get to our connection, we come straight down this time and loop to the left and back up. Once again, we need this piece here to connect to our next letter. I'll do one more. Okay, and make sure you're slightly slanting your letters. Now our Q is going to be almost exactly like our G, except for this bottom part here. You will see we come around almost like we're making an A, come straight down, but this time for our Q, we turn to the right and back up. So our Q loop goes to the right. It should be very obvious the difference between this loop and this loop. So you want to make sure you're writing a G instead of a Q in your cursive writing. Loop to the right with our Q. Good. I'd love to see your practice sheets. I know your teachers would. Before I move on, we're going to do some of the words now for these letters. So the first word we're going to write is cat. Go. All right. We did the T yesterday, and we did the C and A today. So here we go. We start with our C, come up, back around, into our A, up, back around, connect the A, back up into our T, back down, and up to the middle. When I'm finished, I cross my T. Now, if you need to rewind the video, please do, so you can watch that again. Our next word is going to be gap. G-A-P. Right, we have our G, which loops to the left, into our A, which goes up and back around, into our P, up and down, that loops to the left, and up. There's the word gap. We did our P yesterday, so hopefully you practiced those. And now we're going to come down here and we're going to write the word dig in cursive. Start at the bottom, up and around, straight up, back down into our I. See, this part of our D is actually our I now. Come back down, go up and around, back down, and we loop to the left for a G. Make sure your G is going this way, because if you go to the right, it's going to be a Q. All right, and our last word for today, wag. W-A-G. Remember, our W from yesterday had that little hook like this. Well, our A is going to come off of that hook. W, hook into my A, up into my G, and comes to the left like that. W-A-G. Now remember yesterday, if you do this, this is actually not a W. This would be a U-I. So make sure that if you're writing a W, that you are putting that little hook in there into your next letter. It may be tricky at first because cursive handwriting is like an art form, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. I can't wait to see your writing. Enjoy! See you all next time.